our correspondent Gulliver Cragg in Kyiv.
I think the Germans themselves aren't sure if there is anything really new that they can bring to the table. What's expected is that Chancellor Olaf Scholz will continue to insist that the only peace document available is the Minsk Protocol that was signed in 2015 and ushered in some kind of a ceasefire in Ukraine's eastern Donbass region, though the war actually rumbled on since then. That does contain a political settlement, the outlines of a political settlement in which Ukraine would give some kind of autonomy to the regions of Donbass that are currently controlled by the so-called separatists. Now, Ukraine is perfectly happy to say, yes, this document is the only document we can work on and we have to keep pushing ahead with this, but they don't want to hear the Germans trying to put pressure on them to apply it in the way that Vladimir Putin interprets it, which would involve, for example, Ukraine holding elections there whilst Russia still controls the border between Russia and the occupied part of Donbass, and while the flow of arms there is still going, while the fighting has not stopped, without any answer to the question of what about all the people in those areas that Russia has given passports to. By some estimations, it's as much as half of the adult population there. There are all sorts of reasons why Ukraine says it can't move ahead with this peace settlement until Russia moves ahead on certain other elements. They don't want to hear the Germans trying to lecture them and try to tell them that they can or that they should make any further concessions, because Ukraine has really insisted that these are very much red lines. And the French have also said that they respect those Ukrainian red lines. And I think the Germans also realize that they're not going to get any concessions from Ukraine at this stage on this score, especially also as Germany's image in Ukraine is pretty tarnished by Germany's refusal to provide weapons. The Germans definitely think that this is unfair, and Olaf Scholz will probably be stressing the amount of financial and other forms of assistance that Germany is bringing to Ukraine and trying to convince the Ukrainians that Germany is on Ukraine's side. But until he commits to stopping the pipeline Nord Stream 2 from going into operation if Russia proceeds with military action against Ukraine, then all of those are going to seem like empty words to the Ukrainians, because they simply cannot understand why he refuses to say, as Joe Biden has done, that that pipeline will not be operational. The Ukrainians, of course, don't even think the pipeline should ever have been built, because they've got enough capacity to transport Russian gas to Europe themselves via their own pipelines.